What's going on, everybody? My name is Johnny and welcome to J&M Productions, and today I have the new Boom 2000 watt electric motorcycle. Now for a while I've been wanting to make this video because I've owned the bike for about a month now, and I was originally going to do an unboxing show when it first came out, but unfortunately this thing did have a few problems, but I'll get into that later in the video. But for now I want to discuss the bike, talk about the price, how you have to build it, and just the speed and mileage. And I've seen quite a few of these bikes on YouTube. Unfortunately, no one has done an actual review for this bike. So for you guys today, I'm going to show you the full length of the Boom 2000 watt electric motorcycle. Now, just like with any bike, you do have to purchase this online, especially since this is an imported bike from China. I was able to get this from belmontbikes.com. The price tag is $1,500, but since I couldn't get this from the terminal, I had to buy this for $1,600 for $100 shipping to come to my house. Now, with that being said, it took about 4 days for this bike to arrive. But it did eventually come to my house, and when I did, I was able to unbox it right away, and I was actually kind of disappointed with the company because they explained to me that this bike would be fully assembled and I didn't have to worry about the wheel. But unfortunately it wasn't, and I had to put on the wheel, and as a surprise I had to put the shock on as well, and that is something I would not expect for a bike like this. Now, when I was first riding this bike, there were two bolts here. This is what connects to your caliper. I didn't realize that when I first bought this bike, this one actually broke on me and I didn't even realize it. And I was always hearing a weird clicking noise. So this entire time I was driving with a broken bolt. It wasn't until one of these times where I pulled into my driveway, I hit the brake, and this entire caliper came off. So a little scary, obviously, but I was able to get 2 more bolts and replace it. But I still blame the company because they should have put on better bolts. But yet, I do have to remember these companies have to make their money somehow, so you're paying for what you get. Now, after putting the wheel and the shock on, I wasn't able to test it yet because I had to get it registered, because here in the state of Illinois, you do need to get this registered. But the good thing about this is that with the top speed it has, you actually don't need a motorcycle license. You actually only need a regular state license, which is really convenient, especially to people who really don't want to take a weekend class like me. In the future, obviously I will, because I do want to ride bigger and better bikes, but this is perfect for anyone who's truly not wanting to get a motorcycle license.
Alright, so since it's way too hot outside, I figured I'm going to go ahead and do a voiceover for all the specs for the bike. Now with this bike, it does come with an LED display along with the kill switch and a light switch, which is really convenient for the battery simply because it does drain it, especially when you have it in the highest settings. So it's nice that they give it that you can have it completely off. On the left side it has a bright switch and a pass button, which is really convenient for a motorcycle considering most of these bikes don't have that. You also have your left and right turn signals, which are pretty self-explanatory. You left and right click on it. Now once inserting the key and turning it to the right, your LED screen will light up and it will show your miles per hour, your voltage, and the mileage that you put. Even though it says 500, I've probably done half than that, and I'll explain that later in the video. And then for the front and back tires, you have front and rear disc brakes, but again, I wasn't a big fan that I had to put the front wheel together for this. And then in the main, you have the big SLA batteries that run the motor. Now the motor is claimed for 2000 watts, but hearing from other people it sounds like 1400 watts. Now it does have a storage area. Unfortunately, it really isn't that much space. Besides my speaker and where the battery charger is, there really isn't that much space. And considering the breakers right next to it, it's not really best to put a lot of items in this thing. Now, on the bike itself, it is a lot of fun, and it really doesn't make that much noise until you start up the bike, which you'll hear a little whine from the motor. And even when going really fast, it still is very quiet. Now on the main road, this bike is very smooth. Even with the small tires, the bumps can be a little bothering sometimes. But other than that, this is a very smooth bike. The throttle is a little touchy, but let's be honest, this is an electric motorcycle, so you will start getting the hang of it once you start to adjust how the throttle works. Normally, if you just slightly tap it, it moves slowly, but hitting the throttle hard can make you like judder a little bit when going. Now for the speed, this is probably the most asked thing about this bike, and the reason why is because nobody really explains about it on the bike. And this is the newer model, so it has been slightly improved with the motor and the battery itself. So let me go ahead and explain how it is. Right now my top speed is about 40-ish miles per hour, and I know to some people that's not the best, but I am a little on the heavy side, so I would say this thing could maybe hit 45, maybe 47 depending on your weight. And here on the speedometer you might see that it says that it's going 65, but that's actually in kilometers, but according to the thing it's in miles per hour, so it's really confusing and there's no way to switch that. But yet that is the main speed for the bike, and along with mileage you're looking at around 15 to 20 miles if you're a hot rod and you like to go full throttle. But if you can be easy on it, you are looking at around 20 to maybe 25 miles. Again, this is an imported bike, so really you're not going to get the full-blown power that you're expecting. But yeah, it's still a really enjoyable ride, and with the torque, it really does add up. Now at nighttime, this bike is even more fun. I think it's just because nighttime cruises, in my opinion, are more better than daytime, but it's really nice to see the display nice and bright, and it's nice with the blue setting. But again, I still keep looking at this miles per hour, and it's still, even in kilometers, is off. Again, I mentioned that the top speed is about 40 miles per hour on my end, and the speed limit right now on the road is 40. So considering this thing is telling you 70 miles per hour is really, really bad in my opinion. I know in kilometers this is really close to 38 to 40, so that makes sense, but it does feel like I'm going faster, but I have no way of changing this because this is built into the back wheel rather than the front wheel. But yet, if you do happen to have maybe an app that tells you the speed, or if you can just adjust to what you're actually going, then it's not too bad. I've been able just to adjust to how other cars are going and just going from that, because most of the time I'm not on any roads that are 50 miles per hour. Keep in mind, this is not a highway bike, so I am nowhere near going to try that. I basically just go from town to town, either taking back roads or very briefly hopping on to a highway. But for this here, as you can see, I'm just in downtown, so this is literally perfect for the bike. Top speeds here are 25-30 miles per hour, so this is perfect for the bike. Now the brakes actually work really, really good. Again, I mentioned in the beginning of the video that I had a problem with the brake caliper, and even after I got it fixed, I actually continued to have problems. Started making a ticking noise, and then the clicking noise was coming back, but the bolts themselves were really tight. So I can't tell if it was just a really bad caliper they gave me, or if it was because of the first incident that I just completely messed it up. But yet I, took it fully apart. There was some gunk, and I took that off, put it back together, and so far the noise has come back, and the brakes have been running very, very smooth. And the only thing that I really have a problem with is that this bike doesn't have regen, and that's extremely shocking for an electric motorcycle. But like I keep mentioning, this bike is $1,600, so you are paying for what you get. But at the same time, I bought a $400 electric scooter a few years back, and that has regen. So considering I'm paying almost 4 times the amount, you would think it would come with it. Now, a perfect example of the torque for the motorcycle is right here in downtown. And even though most cars are probably going the speed limit, I do tend to like to go a little fast. But yet, this is a perfect example of how the torque works for the bike, and it really does help out, even in the city and for traffic. But still, even with this type of torque, I don't recommend putting this on any main highway. For our main highway is Randall Road, and that goes about 45 to 50 miles per hour. It's very rare that I'm on it, but yet when I do, I'm on it very briefly. Now, it wasn't really showed in the video, but here is an example of the headlights on the brightest setting. Now, I normally don't use these unless it's like a pitch dark street. Now, as much as I would give you guys the link for Belmont bikes, unfortunately, they're actually sold out on all their bikes, and this actually happened after I bought the last bike. So I'm not sure if I truly did buy the last one, but regardless, they are completely out, and that goes for a lot of the websites. But still, if you guys can get a hold on this bike, it is a lot of fun, and it is worth the price. But anyways, thank you guys for enjoying the review, and I'll see you guys in the next J&M Productions video.